Welcome to the Beachside Bungalow by Real Good Toys. As we've talked before, we're making a beach house that has a Hawaiian theme, and as you'll notice, I've started with orchids again. I took one of the orchid plants and made a painting, watercolor painting from it. Then I decided to reduce the size by 90% to create a print to put in the dollhouse, and decided I would use my Cricut machine. If you're not familiar with Cricut, it is a machine that has I call it a robot. It's a computer generated machine that will actually take prints and shapes and cut them into the designs you want. You can also send it to a printer and print color um, pictures, vellum, you name it, cardstock, and then bring it back and cut it in your machine. You obviously don't have to have a Cricut Maker, but I love this one. It is so precise. It's like having your own personal robot. Now, what I was trying to do was create a frame to put around the picture to put inside the dollhouse right by the front door. As I talked before, I had some wires there and I wanted to hide them. So I thought making a shadow box would be a clever idea to do that. Now, I could not find a pattern, so I tried to make my own. It's pretty simple. You create a rectangle, any color you want, on your design space, the size you need, which obviously has to be big enough to enclose the picture, and put a frame around it. So I took one rectangle and to the size I needed. Then I duplicated that rectangle, and then I looked at it and I said, to make it easier, why don't I change the second rectangle to a different color? So I chose white, and I made it smaller so that it would fit inside the frame, just as if it were the picture sitting inside a frame. I also decided I wanted to do this. You simply slice. You hit the slice button after you group everything together, and it will actually cut around that smaller rectangle through the two layers, so that you can see that you now have your frame and then you have your back. And then I converted it all back to the black because I wanted to cut it all out of black cardstock. And so now I have my own cardboard frame, all out of cardstock, and I have a backing. Then I decided I wanted to make it a shadow box, so I needed to create rectangles. So you simply decide what size rectangle you want, and then you can duplicate. So you do two for each, two for the sides, two for the top, then line it all up together to make sure it's going to work. And human element comes in, and sometimes you have to trim it a little bit, but at least most of the cutting is precise. I am not an expert at this, but it is user friendly, so it's very gracious. I absolutely can't say enough about Cricut. So now I have that together. Looks like it's ready the way I want it to print or to cut out. So then I look at the area where you're going to be cutting it out to make sure it's going to look like I want it. Then you simply lay your cardstock on a standard grip mat that has adhesive to it. You go back and make sure you've chosen the right size mat, and then you click continue. You identify what you're using, which was light cardstock, and you make sure you have the correct tools. The machine will let you know if you don't have the right tools, the right blade, etc. And it guides you through with little lights that light up to tell you to push this button here, as well as instructions in the machine. It loads it in, it detects the tool, it goes through with its little robot eye and checks to make sure everything is where it needs to be. Obviously, I have calibrated this machine before, and what you're seeing is the device that holds the knife blade. There are different kinds of blades you can use, and then it cut everything out. I peel from the back off instead of the top, especially since this is delicate paper, and I'm just lifting it up to show you what it looks like. This is the final result. So here they are laid out on the mat. I take my 1.5 by 3 inch print, lay it inside, put the frame on top to see what it's going to look like, and then I begin to glue. I'm just using Aleene's school glue this time to glue the sides on, the two sides on the long sides and the two ends. Need to prop it up against something so that it will stay perpendicular. And you'll see I use popsicle sticks, whatever I have that's sturdy enough to keep it. You'll also probably notice I have wax paper underneath, and glue is sticky and it is messy. So I have found if I put the wax paper down, I can wipe as I go along and keep it from sticking to the cardboard and pulling it off. And once you have everything dry and it's fit into place, and I'm measuring all along, making sure I have it, I put a little bit of paper glue on the back of the print, lay it inside my shadow box, put the lid on, glue it on, clean up any of the residue of the glue. You can always touch up with a marker, and then I have glued it to the wall to cover up that unsightly wiring from our solar lighting system, and we're good to go. So now I have a little bit of a Hawaiian orchid to go along with our Hawaiian beachside bungalow. Hope you enjoyed. If you do, please like and subscribe and share with others. Look forward to talking to you again.